Greetings BookTube, I'm Anders and this is my May wrap-up. So let's get started. First I read The Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan. It's The Red Pyramid, The Throne of Fire and The Serpent's Shadow. This trilogy is set in the same world as the two Percy Jackson series, but this one deals with Egyptian mythology. The main characters are brother and sister Carter and Sadie Kane. After their mother died, Sadie is sent to her grandparents to live with them, while Carter is homeschooled by their father, who is an Egyptologist who travels around the world. Twice a year they come to London so Sadie can meet her father and brother. The story starts around Christmas one year when they are in London, and an accident at British Museum makes them orphans. Carter, Sadie and Sadie's cat Muffin are taken to New York by their uncle, and from there their adventure to save the world starts. Unlike the demigods of the Percy Jackson series, the main characters here are magicians. The narration is quite unusual. Carter and Sadie records their adventures on a digital recording device, and Rick Riordan transcribes it. Something I found odd with this series is that Sadie is supposed to be 12 when the series starts, but she acts like she's 16, 17 at times. I mean, it's been a while since I was that age, so I could be wrong. As a whole, I gave the series 4 stars. Next up, I read ElfQuest, The Final Quest, Volume 2 by Wendy and Richard Pini. This trade paperback collects issues 7 through 12 of the Final Quest storyline. I can't really tell you much about it because it's a storyline that's still being released, and the first ElfQuest comics came out in 1978. So if you haven't read any of them or most of them already, it will be huge spoilers to tell you anything about this. You can, however, read most of the old, I think up to 2012 or something like that, on their official website. I will link that in the description below. The whole premise of the comics is that Cutter, who is the leader of this specific group of elves, sets out from his clan of wolf riders to find other elf clans. I highly recommend reading it, and you should start with the original quest. You can find it in a trade paperback called The Complete Elf Quest Volume 1, or as I said, you can find it on their website. I gave this one 4 stars. And then I read The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I did make a spoiler-free review of it, so I'll link that below. I don't think I mentioned it in the review, but this is the best book I read this year and possibly in the last few years. Of course, I gave it 5 stars. It follows a 15-year-old called Charlie, and he's very awkward and introverted, and he doesn't have any friends. And this is about when he starts high school and all the things that happens to him that year. After that, I read The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. The story starts when the main character Bill Mason is in the hospital because he has his eyes bandaged after an accident. The night before he is supposed to remove the bandages and hopefully be able to see again, there's a beautiful meteor shower that everyone in the world goes outside to watch. The next morning, no nurses show up, and outside there is no traffic or anything. It's all quiet everywhere. So he eventually decides to take off the bandages himself, and he finds that almost everyone else is totally blind. He goes out on the streets of London, and eventually he finds a girl named Josella who also can see, and they team up trying to survive this catastrophe. A question that arises quickly is, did the strange meteor shower have anything to do with people going blind? Or maybe it has something to do with the strange walking plant creatures called Triffids that started showing up a few years earlier. The book raises some very interesting philosophical, social and political questions, and the reason why I gave it 3.5 stars instead of 4 stars is because the first chapter really gripped me into the story, and the second chapter was 20 pages of descriptions of when the Triffids arrived many years earlier. It kind of chopped up the story completely for 20 pages. And for a book that's only around 230 pages, that's quite a large chunk. And finally, I read You're Never Weird on the Internet, Almost, by Felicia Day. This is her memoir that covers everything from when she was homeschooled as a kid up until #Gamergate a couple of years ago and her horrible experiences. In this paperback version, there's also a chapter that covers her book signing tour for the hardcover version of this book. I absolutely enjoyed reading it, and I got very emotional at times. I even laughed out loud when she was talking about the guild, and a few times I had to put the book down for a few minutes because I started choking up. I think everyone who creates anything for the internet should read this book. Actually, I think everyone should read this book. Go read it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I'm not really sure why I didn't give it 5 stars, but 4.5 isn't bad. I guess that's all for now, so until next time.